there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
This is Zach, drummer at Khemmis, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father, and as always, I bring you guys awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a privilege to welcome Mr. Zach Coleman, drummer of Khemmis. Denver, Colorado-based doomed heavy metal quartet Khemmis released their Doomed Heavy Metal EP via Nuclear Blast today. Also today, they released the video visualizer for the single A Conversation with Death. The EP includes a brand new cover of Rainbow in the Dark, as well as a pair of rare singles, A Conversation with Death, from the band's 7-inch split with Spirit Adrift, and Empty Throne from the Decibel Magazine Flexi series. Side B highlights the power and emotional intensity the group welds on stage with a selection of live recordings from 2018's 2 nights of doomed heavy metal, showcasing one song from each of Khemmis' albums. And I would like to go back and just reiterate that Rainbow in the Dark is a cover of Ronnie James Dio. So I want to get that in there. So Zach, how's it going, man?
Oh, not bad. Hanging in. Thanks for the introduction, man. That was very good. I don't think I have anything else to say. You covered it.
Thank you, folks. We'll be back next week.
Exactly.
Let's jump right into this. How's it been working with Nuclear Blast so far for you guys?
Oh, awesome, man. We started working with them on our previous record, Desolation, and we co-released that album with them in 20 Buck Spin. So it was they handled Europe and 20 Buck Spin handled North America, and it's been nothing but great since then. And working with them on this release in much the same way has just been really great. The next album 4, will be the first full release with Nuclear Blast handling all sides of it. So can't wait, honestly. Nothing but good things.
So I want to jump back here just a little bit before we get into the EP. Do you guys like the EP route versus, say, a full length, or is it just time consuming to just get an EP out quicker? That's
a good question. I don't honestly don't know that I especially like the EP format. I do and I don't. It's just situational. But for Khemmis, we've always tried to do more or less just full lengths. So really, doing this EP was kind of, we found ourselves with a couple of kind of rare tracks hanging around, and got pitched an idea to do a half live, half studio track thing. And then we started piecing together the Dio cover to kind of fill out the other side. And it's close to a kind of full length album lengthwise. Obviously the writing, half of it being live wasn't new stuff. I don't know. I think it just made sense for this thing. And this album 4 is taking a little bit longer than we thought initially. And part of it's just pure logistics, getting into the studio and that kind of thing. So we wanted to have something out there, and this kind of presented itself as an opportunity. So we just rolled with it. I like it kind of because we based this thing off of ZZ Top's Fandango, basically. I mean, internally we were calling it Kim Dango forever, and then we had to figure out a real name for it. So, and I love that thing. I listen to that thing all the time. So it just depends. I don't know, man.
What's impressed or excited you the most about making the new Doomed Heavy Metal EP, if anything? What sticks out about it the most for you, possibly, Zach?
I think the response to the Dio cover has been awesome. And that, in terms of making it, that was probably the most fun because we got to kind of play within that wheelhouse of a classic metal song that we all love and try to honor it at the same time that we're covering it. You know, we didn't want to change it very much. We wanted to make it sound like ours, but we didn't want to do crazy stuff to it because we all love Dio. So doing that cover was probably the most fun part of it. Yeah.
I mean, of course, all of us, we do love Dio, but why did you guys want to cover this song by Dio? I know he's got a lot of stuff out there, but what was it about this one that said you guys, hey, let's do this one instead of maybe something else?
Yeah, we kicked around a lot of stuff, and not only just Dio songs, but other bands. And covering Dio kind of goes back to one of our first tours. I think it was Ben and Phil were having a conversation about how it'd be cool to do a Dio cover someday, because we were listening to some of the Dio records just in the van, and we're like, man, this would be really fun. Nobody would expect it from us, and I think we could make a cool version of it. And then, you know, you could kind of see Phil's face be like, fuck, now I gotta sing a Dio song. But he was into it. He loved the challenge, you know, like how could he make it? Because, you know, he doesn't sing like Dio, so he's like, you could see the gears turning there. But I think part of it, I can't remember who pitched it, but it was just we were all like, yeah, Rainbow in the Dark's awesome. That'd be great. And when we started just working on it real loosely, you know, just trying it out, it was coming together really fast. And so, you know, whenever that's happening, we usually just roll with it. So
I was on YouTube earlier kicking around some stuff with Ronnie James Dio, and I see a lot of bands covering his songs, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And I like how bands try to put their own twist on it. Like today I saw Burning Witches do a live cover of Holy Diver.
Oh, wow.
That was amazing.
I mean, I love like I Speed at Night or something like that. I think that would be awesome. But
oh yeah,
I know once Ben transposed the keyboard part to the guitar and made that work, we were all like, "That's awesome! Yeah, we have to do that now." So,
but I honestly think that Killswitch Engage, when they had
the Diver,
yes, when they did their cover of Holy Diver with Howard Jones, man, the hair stood on my arms.
I can remember that cover. Yeah. That's the whole thing, man. It's like I remember when they came out with that, and just being like, "Holy shit, that's awesome!" Because I don't know, it's the same thing. You didn't expect that from them. So, how
long did it take to write and complete this EP, man? How long did it take y'all to put this together?
God, I not that long, all things considered, in terms of like when we started really deciding this is what we were going to do. But some of the songs go back to like Empty Throne we wrote right after Hunted, so 2016. So I don't know, 4 years of songs in various forms in a way. And part of the reason they're not on a full length is because they don't really fit any of the sounds of the albums that we're working on. So they're like little outliers in a way, but we still like them, you know? So yeah, some of them, you know, go back years. Empty Throne anyway.
Are there any possibility down the road that these songs may end up on a full length? Maybe.
I don't think so. I think this is the home for them.
Any tracks standing out more to you than any right now on this EP? I know it must change every time you listen to it. I know these are your babies from handpicked and everything, but are there any that stand out specifically for you other than the Ronnie James Dio cover?
I actually hadn't listened to Empty Throne in a while, even though, you know, obviously this thing's been in the works for a little bit. So I was listening to that today, listening to the EP, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a cool song. It's a really weird one for us in a way. It's just the pacing is really methodical, and like it doesn't sound like anything else we've ever done. It doesn't sound like our new stuff. Of course, I'm like, with the drum parts, I'm like, I just want to redo them all, but you know.
Was it hard to choose between the current set of songs? Which one would be the first single you wanted to release for the EP, or was it hands down Rainbow in the Dark, the cover from Dio? And what led you guys to say, all right, we want to put this out first instead of whatever else you had in store?
Yeah, once we recorded the Dio cover, we knew right away that's what had to lead it off. And it just was like, it was the newest thing we had recorded. So right there. But then also it's just really fun, and it's a really fun way to start a record. And like, it just kicks it into gear immediately. And I think if you know the song at all, it like hooks you in, I'd hope, or for one reason or another, you're intrigued and bummed, or you love it and want to jam it. So I don't know. Yeah, we knew that it was the hook into the thing.
Writing the new songs, does it challenge or push you guys to come up with something new and stay fresh to your music and you know, go outside that box and don't be scared to?
Yeah, absolutely. I know, you know, that's something that we try to do every time is push ourselves, and we try to make a different record every time. And one, you know, it's a really hard thing to define, and it's a really kind of like nebulous thing when we're creating what that means and what that's going to be. Like right now we're working on album 4, and it's got a particular vibe to it. It's got a particular sound, and you just know it when we're kind of doing it. And so we have to follow that thing. And it's very rarely like, you know, we're going to make a heavy metal record or we're going to make a stoner doom album. It's just, you get a feeling for what the material is after working on it for a little while. And then it kind of all forms around this, some nebulous concept or tonal thing that happens. But we try to push ourselves every record, you know, in terms of songwriting and playing, but also just pushing the sound of the band. I don't think any of us are really interested in, we've always tried to not put limits on what we could do with the band. So like if we want to throw in a death metal riff, we can throw it in. If we want to throw in a Judas Priest riff, we can throw it in, or whatever, you know what I mean? Something in that vein. Yeah. It's cool to be able to shift from all that stuff. So, but we're always trying to push ourselves for that.
I absolutely love to hear bands that you just come across out of the blue and you start following them and you go back and you research to see where they started from, you know, buy some old EPs or something like that you can find easily, folks. It's at your fingertips with the computer. And then you kind of like have that timeline and the growth. You hear it from album to album or EP to EP. And it's just like, and then, take Pantera, for example. They started out glam, and then they just slowly you know.
Diamond Daryl, man. Yeah. Diamond Daryl.
Yeah. Yeah, they just sort of evolved, you know, when they got feel. It's just like, bam, that was it.
Yeah.
But that's just what I'm saying, the ideal of there's cool things with bands who don't limit themselves.
Yeah, and we, you know, there's stuff that I try to do with the drum parts where, like, there's certain drum fills that have become Khemmis drum fills. So like I try to include those on every album that we do somewhere in the songs. And it's like a really unconscious thing. I think when you're listening back to the record later, you'll be like, if it makes it feel like a Khemmis album in a way, you know? And like, so there's little things I try to bring over record to record. And I know it's kind of the same for the other guys, but yeah, we just try to keep it. And the other thing too is like not putting limits on it. It keeps it interesting for us. And we've already done way more with this band than we ever thought, and we want to keep growing it. Absolutely. But you know, the first foremost thing for us is like, are we interested in the music? Are we proud of it? And, you know, if we were to make Hunted, you know, 2.0, I don't know that any of us would really be all that interested in it.
Who produced this EP?
Dave Otero, and he's done all of our stuff. He set up and recorded the live tracks. Our buddy Chris did live sound for us at the shows. But Dave recorded and produced all the songs and their various timelines of getting recorded, and then kind of remix mastered them for this release to make it all a cohesive thing. But yeah, Dave's Khemmis member number 5. He's, you know, great at what he does, but from a technical standpoint, but as a producer, he's invaluable to us.
Working with him though from the very start, has that comfort level with you guys? I mean, does he get something maybe that nobody else could possibly get or understand with this band on how it clicks on the recording?
I think so. And it took, it took some time, as it does, but like, yeah, it's really weird. Dave is a super talented guy all around, and he can play every instrument, and sing really well. But he was a drummer for a number of years in death metal bands and stuff. And so like when we're tracking drum parts or working out different sections, if we need to, we really dig in. I mean, we get into like the second crash and this riff needs to be on the left hand here. It's really specific, because then your right hand can be on the tom and you can do, left, right, left accent this way, and so we really go through part by part and, talk over what the drum part should be. And then I'll go track it and we'll talk about it again. And he'll have an idea of like, I think if you did this snare roll coming out of this part, it'd be really cool. And I already know what he's talking about. It's like we just get in the shared headspace. And I think particularly with drums, him and I just really jive on that. We really see eye to eye on a lot of that stuff. And it just, man, it works so well. And I know it's the same way for the other guys when they're recording their parts. And he can track a vocal melody idea, along with Phil, and just sing it to him and be like, oh yeah, check this out. What do you think about this? And because he hears stuff that we don't hear sometimes. And because he can play, every instrument, by the time we're done recording our albums, he could play the whole album front to back, whatever instrument you want. It's nuts, man. But I think he just gets what we're trying to do. I know when we did Desolation, it threw him for a loop because there was so much more material there than our other albums. There was a lot more going on. And so it took him a minute to wrap his head around that. But then when he was kind of understood what we're trying to do, it was right there again. And I can't wait to see, album 4 working with him. And stuff always changes, at least like, it depends. Some stuff changes a lot and some stuff changes a little bit once we get into the studio. But sometimes he'll just have an idea for a part that's like, just fucking perfect. And as soon as he says it, we're all like, yeah, great. And it's almost infuriating because, you work on these songs for years sometimes, and then you're like, fuck, you're right, man.
It's like we spent almost 6 months on that damn song and he comes in and makes it perfect. I mean, what the hell?
Yeah, exactly. But then you're like, awesome, I'm glad he's here, makes that part better.
So how much on the new, not this one, it's the EP, folks, what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one you guys are currently working on to come out later on. How much have you guys got written on it so far? I mean, are you going to have abundance of songs to choose from, or are you going to stick to just a certain amount? Yeah, we're probably about halfway done writing the album. Our goal is to write a fair amount extra material so we can have excess material and then pick and choose what we want out of that. It's really hard. We always try to write like an album conceptually, how it flows. We try to write it as we go. So we always, try to write a beginning, a middle, and an end. And we're doing that too, but we want to have a bunch of options for what those might be. So we're trying to write as much as we can to have extra. And that'll be the first time we've ever done it. Every other time we've been like, we have these 5 tracks, we have these 6 tracks. That's the album. And so this time we're writing more. We have a lot of material to pull from. There's a lot of ideas. There's a lot of riffs. Ben and Phil have just been cranking on that. And there's a lot of really cool stuff that I'm excited to get back in the rehearsal space and start working on. But in terms of like solidly formed stuff, I'd say we're about halfway there. And if we hadn't had this pandemic, we'd be a lot further along. We were really rolling on it, the songwriting, when this all hit. So it's, yeah. Yeah, this is really put a damper on a lot of stuff, but we're going to get into that in here just a little bit. Who did the artwork for the EP?
Yeah, it was my buddy Cameron, who I met through another friend of mine, good friend of mine, a couple of Texas guys. That's where I'm from originally. And he's done a couple of, anyway, they used to play in a band together, and Khemmis played some shows with them, and we all ended up meeting Cameron, who did the artwork for this via that connection, and had him do some shirt designs for us and some show posters and stuff like that. And we always liked his art. And he did the artwork he did for the shows that we played that are the live recording on this EP. He did a show poster artwork for the 2 nights that we played. And we were trying to figure out what the cover would be for the EP. And we had a poster up of that night on our rehearsal space wall. And Ben was looking at it and he was like, why don't we just use the artwork from that? I mean, it's perfect because it's like, it's got 2 sides to it, light and dark. So it's like, live and studio. And we were all like, oh yeah, let's just use that. Because we were kicking around using a live photograph for a while, but that was proving to be more difficult than we thought.
What do you hope everyone takes away, or message you hope they hear while listening to any of Khemmis' music in general, Zach? What do you hope they get from it, man?
I hope they get strength. We really a lot of this music is based in hardship from us personally, but we try to provide a message of strength and hope at the end of the day, even though a lot of the music's pretty sad and depressing. But I always say it's like, do you want to be triumphant and sad at the same time? That's what we do. So, I hope that it can give some people some kind of strength to get through the day. And I don't know what else can you hope for, really.
What can fans expect at a show from Khemmis who have not got to see you guys live as of yet? What are they going to get when they come to see you all?
We don't really have any gimmicks, man. We just go up there and we play our hearts out and try to give as much to the audience as we can. So I always just try to give everything we got, and we work our ass off and try to, give a show, man. I don't know. We want to bring the energy because we want it back, but it's just playing.
Since almost everyone is in quarantine from the coronavirus, do you think concerts and festivals will have the same impact as far as sales, or do you think this will hurt in the long run after this, or will it come back more of an impact?
Oh, I think it'll come back stronger than ever. I think people are going to be chomping at the bit to get back to see live shows in general, any kind of performance like that. So I think it'll be good at the end of the day, and I hope it'll it's easy to get burned out when there's stuff going on all the time, and I hope some of that goes away. People appreciate having that stuff around.
That's true. I agree with that so much, and it's like I've always told people, if you get a chance to go see a band, go see them, because you don't know what tomorrow holds. Everything.
I've been the same way, because I've seen a lot of bands where somebody in the band died or whatever the hell, they broke up or so whenever it comes around, I always try to go, because you just never know, or you for that matter, you just don't know. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. It's like, Metallica. I've had several opportunities to go see them, and finally I was able to go see them, and it's the best. That's my favorite band of all time, which they saved my life. They saved my life, and I bawled like a baby.
None of us would be playing metal, man, like without Metallica. So or listening to.
Yes, I mean, I was fortunate enough to finally get to go see them, and the stars in heaven just aligned right. So that's the way I call it. But I bawled like a baby for the first 2 songs. I didn't care who saw me. Did not care.
Yeah. No, I get it. I totally get it. Yeah. I know, it's funny, man. I'm a massive King Diamond fan, and I know it's like really cheesy, but I flew back home to Texas to see him at his first show back after he had heart surgery, do a set at a festival. Because I just didn't know if I was going to get to see him again, I didn't know if he's going to tour or whatever. And now he's touring again. It's great. But they played a Merciful Fate song, and I've cried.
Nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that, because no one knows how much of a song or a band has impacted somebody.
Yeah, and I was just so excited. I was like, I never thought I'd get to hear that live,
Did you have a go-to album or song when you were younger that just let you escape or made you think things were going to be better? Did you have that possibly?
Metallica was that band for me. What song I used to listen to them by all the time? Like, I used to listen to Orion all the time, man. That song, I don't know, something about it, because because it was just an instrumental, I could just like really get lost in it. So I used to listen to that over and over. I had the tape, just fucking rewinding tapes.
Oh yeah, that's the song the instrumental that saved my life, honestly. So yeah,
that's awesome.
That's a cool connection right there. We'll talk about that after the show. I'll tell you what all happened.
Yeah, cool.
All right, folks. Hey, you want to get out and check out Khemmis' new EP that came out today. It is called the Doomed Heavy Metal EP via Nuclear Blast. Get out and get this, support Khemmis, and you know what, folks? Everyone that's on the Nuclear Blast roster, I don't care who they are, pick it up, support them. All these bands out here support. I don't care if it's country, bluegrass, rap, rock and roll, R&B, if it's some type of reggae stuff. I don't care. Buy it, support. You may find a diamond in the rough out there. Zach, how can folks stay in touch with you guys? Buy your merchandise. Tour dates when this does get back to normalcy. How can they do that?
KhemmisDoomed.com is probably the easiest place, or we're on all social media, so you can hunt us up pretty easily.
Before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Sure. This is Zach, drummer at Khemmis, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour podcast and BODS Mayhem Hour. Also, get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link, plus it has our YouTube link with all the new stuff going up, plus all the old stuff going up. And also, please check us out on Apple Podcast, Spotify. We are on Podbean. We are on everywhere. We are everywhere out there. All the links are on the page. And please support Khemmis. Pick up their EP and just support them. Zach, thank you so much for being on the show. And I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck, man.
Thank you so much.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.